All right. I hit live on Streamlabs. You should be seeing it pop up any moment now.
Refreshing.
And let me know if you guys can hear anything in the background. I'm
Yep.
hosting some friends.
I can't hear anything. You should be fine.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I know the friend.
Oh, Tess is there this weekend?
Aha!
Yeah.
It's showing us live now.
Yeah.
Oh, tell
Yeah,
Tessa
we
it's
should
hi.
be live. There we go.
Hello.
Give me 1 sec. Everyone hold fire.
Want me to send you the link?
Yeah, we should just be
No,
totally
I got the
silent
link.
for the opening
Okay.
moments.
I'm not saying be totally silent, just that people are not here yet, so there's not really a point to everyone starting with their little chitter chatter.
Well, we can give
Can't
more
do
of
our
our talks
funnies
about
yet.
Great,
musicals
all of
in a
them.
bit.
That's true. All the VOD people should just have to sit through
Yep.
VOD.
VOD.
video on demand.
Well, yes, but I've never heard anyone
people are
spell it out.
Yeah.
Starting
well, I'm a
to
weirdo.
arrive. So hello.
But you input your PIN too.
I'll kill you with my mind from a distance.
That's bold words coming from the biopic guy.
Let me send a GIF.
Biopic?
Alright.
It's biopic,
Oh,
right? It's
Yeah, it's
I've
biopic.
only-
Biopic.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
what I
don't need
It
to
does
be.
not rhyme with myopic.
Yo,
I don't need to be put on blast like that.
guys, this is rolling with difficulty. We want rats in the chat. That's what
I
we
was gonna
want.
say, Potato
Come
Legion,
on.
you were in the wrong place.
Yep.
drop
Yeah.
that.
the wrong.
OSP crew, I see you. I appreciate you, but come on. We gotta,
If I'm gonna
when in
have to
Rome.
constantly
This is a creative enterprise.
spam, I'd at least like it to be specific to the thing we're actively in. But hello to everyone. Welcome to our annual post-season Q&A live stream. I guess it's not really annual so much as it is just recurring, but
Seasonal.
the season has ended, and we're here to answer questions relating to the season and all sorts of things. Got the whole cast with us. We're ready to hang and answer questions. And so instead of spamming rats, could I strongly suggest
Okay, maybe don't
drop
spam rats.
questions
We
in
just
chat.
told them to spam rats, guys. We have to be
I
consistent.
know. This is why I'm begging you guys to stop saying to spam things.
Oh,
I don't
that's
feel like
that's
I'm
on
asking
me.
for a lot.
Honestly, I think the rats are gonna help make it easier to find the questions. They'll really stand out in comparison.
Guys, we have to present a united front. We can't be undermining each other's authority when the kids are listening.
I moralistically disagree. On the grounds of everything I believe in.
Look, what we're here to do is answer questions. We got questions in the email, but we also will be taking questions from chat. So if you have anything you want to ask the crew, drop it in there. But again, please don't spam rats or questions, because I promise you, we will scroll through the chat and we will see it. So you only need to ask once. But to kick us off, we've got a question from the email from Belle. Hi there, finished binging the new season just days ago, and I was wondering, to each of the cast, which of the rogues in your growing rogues gallery is your favorite? So who's your favorite of our recurring and or mysteriously disappearing, not quite defeated villains that we've encountered so far?
I'm so excited for more evil Oobtaglor. I
got a
feel like
favorite.
I'm biased because I've loved them since I first thought, oh my gosh, are we getting an evil Oobtaglor twin in this episode? And then I was right, and that might be why I like them so much.
I am also biased, and I do like Oobtaglor scoping.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good evil twin.
There are so few opportunities for it to not be bullshit in a D&D game, but in this one it's
Yeah.
like, ooze, man, there's probably a bunch of them.
I feel like I gotta represent the Modriardi. There's something about the
Ooh,
rogue
yeah.
Modron that I really do love, and I'm glad that they didn't necessarily get perfectly defeated at the end of the season, that they could show back up again.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be such a pain. It's gonna be fun.
I don't know if I can vote, but I think I
Yeah, of
definitely
course
have
you
to
do.
side with Modriardi as well. If you couldn't tell from last season, I love construct, robot, mechanical bad guys. My favorite, probably my favorite villain of all time is Ultron. He's one of I've got the Death of Ultron hanging on my wall about 10 feet to my right. So I love Modriardi. Same reason I loved the Inevitable last season, and also like Dexter and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we have Dexter at home.
We have Dexter at home, yeah. Trying to make Modriardi its own thing, though, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds fun. Well, we'll take another question here from the email, not the email, from the chat. This is kind of a logistical thing. I feel like we should address it up top. Will the show proceed with 3 PCs next season? Our lovely Wally is going to be taking a mental health break. We hope that it's restful for him. But we are hoping to bring on some guests next season. So, our other 3 guys will definitely be coming back. But you may see some frequent recurring new characters popping up and some guests at the table. So we're looking forward to being able to bring some folks on to help round out the crew. And it's no replacement for Evrard, but it's hard to get people out of the loop these days. So we're going to take our time on that one.
Evrard's the only one in the loop, it would seem.
So we think. Another question from the chat. What despair would Bileyg have gotten if he got despair from the weird shadow pool?
Oh yeah. This was so much fresher in my mind when we were actually recording the episode. But Bileyg has a lot of coping and making the best of a bad situation in his character, and underlying it is a pretty pervasive sense of, the fact that I am slow and below average and cannot just do the things that the people I love can do is holding me back and holding all of them back, and making everything worse for everyone. So that could have been fun, but then I made my wisdom save, so Bileyg is fine. I mean, he died, but he's fine.
He's fine now.
He's fine now,
he's
yeah.
fine now.
Yeah. All is well. Another question we got in chat is, what is your character's favorite food? Bileyg's answer cannot be yes.
Rude.
I think Ingrid does just like a good pot of coffee or tea. I know that's not technically a food, but just that kind of realm of a hot beverage that you can sip on. I think that's probably where Ingrid's living. Someone who has definitely had just coffee for breakfast way too many times a day.
I'll say
I think the thing that...
I'll say
no, go Wally.
Evrard likes a good French onion soup. You'd think carrots, but that's a stereotype at the end of the day. French onion soup is where it's at.
I think the real agonizing thing for Oobtaglor is that they like sweets. So ice cream in particular comes to mind, which makes the hag thing back in episode 5 all the more angst-ridden, because Oobtaglor was tempted by the sweets, but is more turned off by the fact that a hag is serving them.
Bileyg.
Bileyg just misses anything he could get on Mount Celestia. Sigil has a lot, but none of it is what you can get on Mount Celestia. Well, it's mostly... Look, this is my great secret world-building shame. I find it profoundly uninteresting to come up with fictional foods and cuisines. I think it's fun when other people do it. I see absolutely no purpose to it. It's like conlangs. It's cool that somebody else did it. I personally couldn't give less of a fuck. And
time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I ran out of steam going into season 3 with Finbar's chart, so I'm just okay, there's only so much I can make up every single season. So
I can do technobabble all day, any day, which is why I played a character that doesn't do any technobabble.
Technobabble is fun. Cuisine babble is hard.
Yeah.
You have to be on it. But we've got a question in the email here for Austin from Leander. What is your process when writing the mysteries for each episode?
Oh, that's a great question, because it's a thing I've had to think about a lot, and I think that the process is varied as I've learned more. But the core of it is you have to come up with something for the heroes to do that isn't just asking or answering questions. There needs to be an actionable thing at the end. All adventures need this, the strong verb, right? Save the princess, slay the dragon. These are good concrete tasks, and mysteries are discover, find out, and these are not concrete tasks that the players can easily handle. So what you need to do is couch a concrete task within a vague task, and that's what I've tried to do throughout the whole season. So inspiration for like the kinds of characters, the exact specifics of the mysteries, I've gotten from reading things, old source material from Planescape and things like that. I got a copy of, well, I have a bunch of digital copies of things. I bought a physical copy of In the Cage because I was sick of trying to flip through that PDF. Things like that. Thinking about other mysteries I've consumed and things like that. But in terms of how do I nuts and bolts make my outline, it starts with, okay, they need to kill this person or recover this item, something that's concrete, and then it's the loose question of where did it go? Where is that person? Why did they do the murder? How did they do it? Those are things that can be kind of on the periphery, and they are super helpful, and I expect the players to hopefully get them to complete the mystery, but they can't be the whole episode, otherwise you have one of two things three things. One, the mystery could go just fine, but you have these two ends of the spectrum, which are, if there's only the question, the vague task, they could never get it, because it's not actionable, they could spin their wheels, or, happens often with Red, you could just see through what I'm doing immediately, and that's just the fucking end of it. So
That is the problem. It can't be as simple as just like, I've figured it out, boss. Which is why, like, you know, even in detective stories, they'll often be like, the characters figured it out early, now the hard part is proving it. Again, every Columbo episode, he immediately knows.
The whole thesis behind how Columbo exists.
Yeah.
So, I hope that satisfactorily answered that to satisfaction. I could probably talk about it for an hour, but I'm gonna pass the conch, so to speak.
All right. Well, we got another question from chat from Random Art Demon. If you could have any classic mystery author write a mystery novel with the open and shut characters, which author would you choose?
Ooh.
I'd like to throw one out. I don't know that they're a classic mystery author necessarily, but Ray Bradbury has an awesome collection of crime short stories that like truly are some of my favorite kind of crime mystery fiction ever written, and I would love to see him tackle our guys, because I think there's a lot of a sci-fi edge in there already, so it's not too hard to throw some Planescape nonsense in, I think.
Fair enough.
Larry Niven has also written a few like space detective stories. I think The Long Arm of Gil Hamilton is the main one, or he's like a detective who lost an arm and got it back, but in the interim accidentally developed like an astral arm he can use to do small scale telekinesis, and also he solves crimes.
Oh yeah.
I don't. The thing is, Niven is not tremendously good at character writing, especially character writing anybody who's not like a dude. So it probably wouldn't be good, but I think it would be interesting to see him try.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I don't know enough mystery writers, but what's his real name's not Lemony Snicket, but Daniel
that guy.
Handler.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting
Daniel
to have him set sort of in the style of Series of Unfortunate Events, right? Like a plot hook for Rolling with
That's a good
Difficulty.
one.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I was also going to say Lemony Snicket. He was also on my mind. Yeah.
I guess I never thought of those books as mysteries.
Well,
I guess they're
technically-
not, but like, I don't know if they really are, but it's, I don't know, it just has a vibe that I think would work well with
Yes, that's what I was
Sigil,
thinking.
especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin.
I don't know that I really have a good answer for this. I actually don't read that many mysteries, which has been one of the big hurdles for this campaign. For
Yeah.
me, because like I consume a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, so the adventures in the last campaign were very, very easy for me to come up with. There were only a couple times I was stuck, and this season I had to work a lot harder at it. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I like finding mystery that's in things already. Like that's kind of where my inspiration has come from. But I don't know. I have a book that's on my short list for reading. I picked up a couple months ago. By Carl Hyacin. That's a mystery. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about a theme park that has animals, that has two small rodents incredibly rare and endangered rodents stolen from it. And I find that very charming. So you know what? How about some Carl Hyacin? I haven't read your book yet, but I really liked Hoot when I was a kid. So
Nice. All right. Well, this is another question from chat from Super Saiyan Yamcha. Say Hira was doing another party and Open and Shut Cases was invited. What would their formal wear look like? So what are our fancy outfits?
Oh, finally,
If we
an
were to
easy
go-
one for me.
Well, Evrard's already in.
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah,
just
but-
showing
yeah.
up as himself. he's always fancy.
It's black tie this time. That's the only difference.
Yes, of course.
There's slightly shinier cufflinks. Bileyg shows up in full formal military dress with his adamantine scale mail that I didn't wear once in season 1, but I sure wish I had.
Uh-huh.
I'm picturing for Ingrid like Miss Scarlet's dress in the Clue movie, like something like kind of over the top, but also just I don't want to go full like. It can't be too sexy, but she has to be glamorous, Like,
Glamorous for
it's
sure, yes.
A lot of
So
a lot
like
of
less
Hollywood
Jessica Rabbit,
glamour kind
but
of
old
look.
Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, less Jessica Rabbit, more Audrey Hepburn kind of deals. Like there's options. I'm sure if you gave me 20 minutes and Pinterest, I could find an exact photo reference for it, but that kind of vibe.
Oh, that being said, Sophia, send me any
Yeah.
reference images for Ingrid. I have a thing I'm cooking up for the patrons this month. So
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I'm gonna send you one image in the next 5 minutes because I know
Okay.
it immediately.
I think Oobtaglor would look-
Boulevard.png.
Oobtaglor would look exactly the same, except that they would conjure like long, goopy coattails, basically,
Ew.
and that just trail behind them the entire time. But otherwise, maybe they'll wear the top hat, but yeah.
Oh, that's horrible. I love it.
All right. Well, we'll go take more questions. This one from chat from Chibi Blue Mouse. Noir, as one of the party bards, we've heard a wide range of different inspirations. Any prepared bardics you did not get to use?
There was a couple. Early on I had this idea that I would do like themed bardics for every episode. So like I had a couple Disney ones near the end because I had an idea that I would do like a Disney episode one, but bardics happen actually not all that frequently. And so really like I can usually only get 1 or 2 off an episode. And so there was one where I was going to do a Gilbert and Sullivan one. So the Pirates of Penzance Modern Major General got in,
Hell
but
yeah.
I missed one that was parodying with Cat Like Tread. And then another like half as good one that was parodying the to be a pirate king kind of near the beginning. I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't go off with those because they weren't as good as the other ones, I don't think, in my opinion. So I'm not gonna sing them for you guys.
Got a lot of good bardic inspiration going in this time. I'm always really impressed because Noirs are so well put together and it's just so like.
But yours are also so well put together, especially when you take into consideration that you're coming up with them on the spot. That's
I could
Yeah.
run a scansion and stuff. I'm trying to cover that I'm not as talented of a singer by using improvising skills, and it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But all the flowers to Noir for being both a talented performer and also very good at writing well-structured song parodies.
Thank you.
Well, this question comes from the email. Gotta wonder what the plan would have been if half the party got stuck in the loop from okay, but why though? So, what was the plan, Austin? If you'd stuck us all in the loop.
It's a good. So someone this came up in the Discord, and I was like, that's actually a really good question because it's a GM question. It's not like a situation specific question, and the question is really, what do you do when half the party gets fucked in a combat encounter? And the first thing you can do is try not to screw the party over, which is, I think, easier than people think. I find it pretty easy to rationalize whatever choices you're going to have the bad guy make in combat. And so I think it's pretty easy. I mean, like, unless you really unbalance things, or maybe they've really gotten themselves in over their head, and this is, like, kind of on them. Like, they shouldn't have aggravated the 13 high-level NPCs who are walking out of the bar and tried to take a cheap shot on them, reference to the session we just had this week.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Where we almost TPK'd because we started a fight we shouldn't have.
Yep.
Because someone was rude. Anyway, assuming you're not in one of those situations, it's pretty easy to pull back as the GM and give really good explanations for why a character doesn't press every advantage they have. That being said, though, let's say that like I hadn't done that and I had accidentally, or I had on purpose, I suppose, but I had mazed 2 of the PCs, and there were 2 of them in there now. Really, it becomes a question of, okay, well, you have to talk to your players, and probably it becomes a problem that has to be solved presently. And then you get a cool episode or 2, maybe 2 episodes you could squeeze out of 2 sessions. I would always call them episodes, but 2 sessions where you could have the party split up. And, we've done our solo sessions before. This would just be double sessions, and have them each work on a challenge from the either side. I think of Percy and Annabeth escaping from Tartarus, spoilers, in the Heroes of Olympus series. It's a problem that needs to be solved, but from both sides at the same time. So you could introduce something like that and keep the players separate so that they have to figure out some way to communicate, or just be really clever about how they're going to make that work. The other thing to do is say, like, okay, the people who are trapped in the maze, give them interesting things to do so that even though they've been screwed over, there's cool magic items, there's cool NPCs, there's cool lore, something down here to make it worth it for them. And then the other side of that is you could just be like, they're stuck down there. Who are you bringing in to help get them out? And then your players have a chance to help save their NPCs with new characters. And maybe that's a place for them to play characters that are weirder, that they wouldn't want to play for multiple sessions or hadn't thought about playing, or they want to introduce a backup character here. So I think there's actually a lot of ways to solve it, and I would be more excited by that challenge than I would scared of it, but at the same time, also clearly I avoided doing that.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it deeply.
Well.
Yep.
No, we do.
To be fair, one of you also kicked it, so it was still really brutal.
Thanks,
but
boss.
That might be one of the most devastating, maybe the most devastating fight we've had.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Well, we're babies. We're level 5.
I know, and I think back to the really hard encounters, like the one in the last season with the Mind Witness. Which I won't say spoilers, but that was a really, really challenging encounter. But I don't think even that was this devastating. So that might have been our hardest. We won, but did we? That we've had yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I kind of like about low-level D&D combat, especially having, like, we did pretty good, we were in our teens, as it were, last campaign by the end, and so, like, you could throw a lot of crazy things at us that are fun to fight in their own way, but mechanically, like, you have your big guns, you're going to fire your big guns. At that point, there's no holds barred, and when you're low-level, you have a lot fewer, like, tools in the toolkit to try out, and they tend to be a little bit more, like, hit or miss, or they just don't do as much raw damage, so it forces you as a player to be a much more, like, in a kind of like no holds barred, drawn out slugfest, because the villain is going to throw everything they have at you, and you as the player kind of have the onus to be like, okay, how can I not just like use my one big gun effectively, but also like ensure that my character can do as much as possible to survive what is inevitably going to be a very challenging fight for them. Like, you're low level, things are harder for you. So I think that's been something that's kind of fun in this campaign. Is I feel like a lot of the combat more frequently has been much more I don't want to say like difficult, because I feel like we all are kind of on the same, there's no like, there isn't like a difficulty scaling like with the video game where I'm not putting the right button inputs in, but I feel like it has to be a little bit more strategic at times to compensate for the fact that we are low level, and so things are going to be a lot more overwhelmingly lethal for a low level character than they are like a level 12 adventure or something. Well, this one from chat from Heartlight. For Austin, there's been a few major antagonists who use rogue abilities or similar game plans. Is this a coincidence, or do you like rogue bad guys?
It's certainly not on purpose. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I think that there's a couple things at play, which is one, narratively, rogues make really good bad guys because they can be really good at the specific things that fuck up the heroes, right? Like stealthing and subterfuge and things like that with Dexter, it was deceptions and things, right? They can be very good, but because of the nature, the fantasy of that character. I mean, you could have anyone else do that too. You don't have to create NPCs the way PCs do it. I often don't, but it plays into the fantasy, and I think it helps the players expect what they're going to be going up against, which is useful for not upsetting them. In general, if you promise a paladin and then they start doing like, I don't know, druids. Paladin's a bad example because they can kind of do everything. If they promise a druid and they start doing fighter stuff, people get upset, right? Fair enough. But so I think rogue, you can make certain promises with the fiction and then deliver. I think that sneak attack is great because it gives me an excuse to roll a shit ton of damage, but not all the time. So it's easy for me to really scare the players and their PCs without just being like, yeah, this guy attacks 3 times and does 30 damage each attack, right? There's this risk involved. It's like, oh, and then I get the sneak attack off. So there's all of that. Yeah, I guess that it's just a combination of the fantasy really works out and the mechanics really work out. It's an excellent point though, and perhaps I should be looking into other bad guys. Too bad we can't get the druid. I mean, it's not impossible, but in Sigil, I would hesitate to think that there would be very much druidic nonsense going on. So maybe in a future campaign or something. That's an excellent. Thank you for pointing that out to me, though. I don't think I'd ever really considered it.
Yeah, rogues were, we can do things that aren't crimes. We can do non-crime things. Come on, guys. This question comes from the email. They have 2 related questions. One, what are your favorite TTRPG systems you've played on the podcast? And what are some TTRPG systems you haven't played on the show but would like to? So we've done a couple different systems, often the one-shots and occasional 2-shots. Does anyone have any standout favorites?
Question. I don't know that it's... a lot of people have kind of railed against it as a system, but I enjoyed the Avatar one-shot. Perhaps I just really loved getting to play the playbook. What is the name of that system that's based on
Powered by the
Force of
Apocalypse.
the Dark? Thank you, Powered by the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Force of the Dark
yeah.
and Powered by the Apocalypse. I get swapped in my head. Perhaps I was just excited to play one of those. I'd only played 1 or 2 before, and I really enjoyed them. I know some people kind of I feel like they have said it's kind of a square peg into a round hole situation with Avatar, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a
I feel
lot.
like I played a couple other Powered by the Apocalypse, notably Masks. I'm actually going to be on Rolling for Charity playing Masks in November, so
jealous.
stay tuned for that. I'm very excited
Masks
about
is
it.
on the top of my list.
And I think Powered by the Apocalypse does. I think Avatar was done a disservice by being a Powered by the Apocalypse system, because there's just the way that world works, and then the way that the game is structured kind of a little bit mismatched for me. But I one thing we played that I did really like was Hunt by Gila RPGs. I think that was just such a
Gila.
smooth experience. Gila, you know what? We're not gonna have this.
Yellow.
Well, what's crazy is we've already had it 6 or 7 times.
I know, but I want to give flowers to that system because it is really it felt so smooth to play, and it did such a good job of establishing this is the tone of the game, and everything was pretty smooth. I really enjoyed that. I think what I've learned from our one shots is that I really enjoy a nice pared down RPG for these one shots.
I agree.
I really like Cloud Empress.
Yay!
I forgot about that one.
Oh, yeah.
thanks,
Cloud
Ross.
Empress was fun, yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to remember all the systems we played, and I was getting stuck on Call of Cthulhu.
I did
that's
like
all
Call
could
of
think
Cthulhu. That was interesting. It was kind of refreshing
didn't
going
like
into
that
a game
one.
and being like, we're all gonna die. There's no stakes in
Yeah.
trying to stay alive. We're all fucked. Anything that happens is a bonus at this point.
Yeah, I played one Call of Cthulhu longer campaign, and it does make for a very interesting long-term TTRPG, just because depending on how your game master is running it, it can be very lethal or kind of more of just a tone piece. And I feel like the longer it got, the more lethal it got, because you're like,
Yeah.
all right, our characters are getting stretched to the madness limits here.
Yeah.
Well, sanity only ever goes down, So.
Yeah.
That's fun. I think I read through, out of curiosity, like a Call of Cthulhu module, and it was just interesting seeing all the like clinical DM notes of like, if a player interacts with this, they will gain a permanent and incurable condition that will slowly erode their
Yes.
sanity and physical health. And I was like, oh, cool. If they touch the fucked up rock, they will just the characters basically just.
It's a
doomed.
great system if you really love consequences, and I love consequences.
Surely these conces won't quench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other? I mean, we feel like I don't think we've tried a
talked
system
about
where.
things we're excited for. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, to also go back to our hunt creator, we ran some promos for loot, and that hasn't come out yet. But I'm actually really excited for it because I do love collecting a lot of. The person who put all the goop in their bag last campaign is
Yeah.
a big fan of collecting things. My inventory
Whoa,
management
Nelly.
is terrible, and that is. My cyberpunk inventory is shameful right now, but I would like to try that one out. Actually, I think like the looter shooter kind of customize your character through
Yeah.
building up what you find seems really
I'm
cool, and I would like to
super
try that
excited
a lot.
for it. I'll
Yeah.
be interested to see if it does fit our format, because if it does, the game's not out, obviously. It's still in Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Go back it. But if it does fit our format, I think that it becomes a top contender. It goes on the shortlist immediately.
Mhm.
I do have one I'd really like to play for the one shots, and I'm not gonna say it because I think it's probably going to happen soon. So I'll give the more interesting answer, which is the one I don't think will happen, but it's Blades in the Dark. I would love to do a Blades in the Dark, but the system I think is a little. I'm not comfortable running it because I've never played in it. It's a little chunkier than I'm used to. Not that I'm used to, but like it's chunky. I'd like to play it before I run it, especially on a stream. But I don't think anyone else here is also going to step up and do it either. So
Yeah.
it's probably going to sit on the shelf, sadly.
Kind of. Oh no, yeah, Red, please.
Oh, well, there's a couple home games that we've played in. One where we tested out the Marvel system, which was fun, but not because the game was good. And we just did like one session of Draw Steel, which I really like so far. I think it's thus far really fun and does a lot, because the whole point of Draw Steel very clearly is like, hey, what if you actually felt like you were a hero of the realm when you played D&D? Like, what if you felt that you were actually strong and cool and capable and, like, could do stuff? And it's very narrative and cinematic, kind of like all your powers are very much designed to just look really cool and, like, I don't know, it's fun. I don't know how well it would work on a stream because it almost feels like it's just a bunch of, like, fiction prompts. Like, you play a game and you're like, wow, that was a really good fight. You could just write that up as prose and it would actually be good. But it's fun. I wanted to shout it out because we're having a good time with it so far.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, honestly, because I had a lot of fun, but it was the first time, and it was a very bare bones, because I didn't want to invest too much energy. We don't have time to talk about it. Maybe we could talk about it. Come join us on our Patreon, and we chat every month on Patreon, and I think that would be the perfect time to talk about
Ooh, smart.
actually.
I like it.
But, yeah, so I'm glad you said that. I do love Joe Steel, and I'd love to play it again in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wally and Noir, any games you've been sitting on that you've been looking to play, or should we move on to some more questions?
I mean,
I was also going to mention Draw Steel, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
my heart is growing 3 sizes today.
what was it?
You let me play basically Nightcrawler, but with knives. Of course I'm having fun with Draw Steel.
I'm Alien Sonic. This is great.
Oh, yeah. I have extremely cursed art from that. But we can't put it in the chat because chat can't see the chat. That's fine.
It's okay.
Tweet
Remind
it
me about
out.
it later, guys. I'll tweet it or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
But because of the format that we're in, there's a lot of we have a lot of limitations, and that's why, I mean, in the off season we get to run some of the smaller stuff. But I think doing like a tiny little mini like arc in like Pathfinder would be really fun. Something a little crunchier. I think we do like 4 to 5 sessions. That'd be really cool. Every time I'm looking at D&D 5e, I'm like, hey, I wish there was a lot more detail, a lot more buttons to play with. People just keep saying, just play Pathfinder. I'm just like, okay, let's do that at some point. But yeah, that
I
would be
would
my
really
game.
love to try it.
The first TTRPG I ever played was Pathfinder. I actually started on that, not Dungeons and Dragons, and before moving on in college, and that's what everyone was playing. So it's like, great, let's move into this. And it is crunchier. I think once you've played a couple sessions in it, it starts to flow better, and there are things I like about it. I like the character construction and everything. I think is really cool. But yeah, it is something that I'm like, I could never really convince anyone to play Pathfinder unless other than like you just have to play a few sessions till you get used to it. Is kind of the deal.
Yeah. I feel the same about Pathfinder as I do about the Blades in the Dark, which is like I would love to run it so bad, but I wouldn't want to run it until I've played it, and I can't find anyone to run it for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, not to tease too much, but I've been sitting on a Girl by Moonlight one shot, which is based on Blades in the Dark. So maybe Austin will get a little bit of tangentially Blades
Perhaps.
in the Dark.
I'm so out of touch with that genre, though. Like it would be, it would. I would have to do a lot of homework, I think, to get up to speed and play into the tropes.
Patreon hangout where we just make Austin watch Sailor Moon.
Yay!
Maybe.
Yes.
But we'll get some more questions. From Hannah Karen, do any of us have backups at this point? Do we have any backup
Backups?
characters?
Do I have backups? Oh man.
Pull out the binder. Give him the lecture.
So I knew going into the season that Evrard was going to be kind of a one season kind of character. The ending that we got was not what I originally planned, but it's also better than what I was hoping. That being said,
It was kind of special.
yes. That being said, I had 2 Agni, which is set up, who is a fighter, Dragonborn, Red Dragonborn, which we haven't had a fighter on the pod yet. So I'm just like, okay, let's just fill that in.
Ooh, I like it.
And then I'm itching to play a Bugbear. I'm itching so badly to play a Bugbear.
We need some tall people in this.
Dude, 10 feet of reach is a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Get fastball special Bileyg.
Ooh. All right. New plan for season 2. Wally comes back.
Bugbear, and I find a way to just throw Bileyg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny plan because Bileyg would probably never agree to it, but it would work extremely well because Beleyg's mobility is absolute shit.
Mm-hmm. One of the few benefits of the Marvel RPG does have rules for the fastball special in it.
Yes.
Oh my god, that
Must
game
be
system.
built in.
Didn't we record like a podcast for the Patreon about
We did,
our
yeah.
experience with the Marvel game? Yeah. So I guess
We should
patrons.
do more of those.
We should, that was really fun. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a Draw Steel one, actually.
Yeah, play a few more rounds of Draw Steel and then give our thoughts on it.
We are now
we're
a-
Great
reinventing
idea.
early YouTube reviewing. That's all we're doing here.
Yeah, this is now a TTRPG review podcast. We don't play anymore. We just
Throwing
we
it
test.
out.
Yep.
We play at home off screen where you can't
Yeah.
see it, and then we tell you how fun it was later.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, but no, it was it's interesting. The Marvel game feels very much like they took D&D, they ripped out all the guts, and then they were like, we need to stat up every individual power set from the big names in Marvel. Not stat up a system that allowed you to organically create those characters like they did in Champions, which I recommended we play and got vetoed because the source book is now like 600 pages. But it's
if
like
it was you and me, Red, that would have happened. But if
Yeah,
there
yeah,
were
I'm so-
7 other people who
We
have,
got
like,
too many other
day
people, we
jobs
couldn't
and
put
don't
that
want
on.
to learn that game.
But it's like fastball special is like a move you could do. Ghost Rider is one of the powers you can have, like that kind of thing. You can't have like demon powers that you stat up in a different way. It's like you can be Ghost Rider. That's it. So that's always funny. I can do this all day as a power you can have. It's very like, oh, reference. I get that reference. I'm surprised I understood that reference as one of the powers. Anyway, do we have more questions?
Yeah, the question was, what's your backup character if you have any
Oh.
for this current campaign? And then you talked about something completely different.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's so weird and unprecedented for me. I have loosely a backup character, but I also have other ideas that I might do instead if I think they're more fun. And I have one loose idea that I would need Austin's permission to do, and that's why I haven't brought it up because I feel like the answer would be no. But like my main backup characters, I statted up and played a different paladin for a one-shot we played, which is also the origin of Oobtaglor. So I think it would be funny if I just brought in my himbo paladin of Bahamut because I think he's a fun dude. And failing that, playing Bileyg's daughter could be fun. She's a sorcerer, and I have stat ideas for her, but I obviously haven't rolled her up in case she shows up.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have no backup plan for Ingrid. Like truly, last campaign I made a whole NPC. I'm like, that's my backup character. If something happens to Danny early on, I'll just play them instead. And this campaign I didn't think about it even a little bit because I got too attached to Ingrid too quickly.
Oh
Not
yeah.
that, look, if she dies or something goes wrong, absolutely I will find a way. But yeah, I don't have a plan currently. That's gonna be a lot of improv happening real quick if it comes to it.
Yeah.
Same. I don't have a plan for Oobtaglor.
Hell yeah.
My plan for Oobtaglor is that Oobtaglor will split themselves into another Oobtaglor.
Yes.
Done.
Yes.
Easy.
We've had one. Yes.
I like how there's a half of this party that's just all bards, no backup. It's truly-
Yeah.
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 Well, for campaign 3, I am planning on being the bard, so you're all gonna have to.
I do kind of already know what my character for campaign 3 will be.
Oh,
when it comes to it, but that's
next
the
campaign,
It's gonna be. You don't even know what the campaign is.
I'm
No, I know, but I know exactly
I've
what
got
I'm doing.
pictures.
I've had this locked in for months. I'm like, no, I thought of too good of an idea, and I have to do it. I'll
I
find a way
came
to
up with
make
a
it
fun
work.
idea the other day, but I can't decide if I actually want to play them because they might end up just being absolutely intolerable. That's how you know the concept is fun.
no, I'll play a new PC every episode. That's what I'll do. Just roll up a new one every single time.
The opposite of Wally taking a break. Wally coming up with a new character every episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
A very special guest star. It's Wally again.
3-page
Whoa.
backstory, 3 different outfits, every single episode for each character. No problem.
Incredible. Someone in chat
Incredible.
said Oobtaglor, so if you
Yeah.
do die, that is going to be their name.
Yes.
Excellent. Very, very good. All right. This is a quick one from Metalbug470 for Austin. Is there a chance for Sophia, aka Ingrid, to push a big red button in the near future? Will you let me push a big red button? Is there something I can? I would like consequences.
I'm trying to think if was there nothing really big red buttony in this.
Well, you did like
I'm
fix
not the
the
one-
train.
I did not-
You stopped the big red button from being pushed. Really, when you stopped the train from blowing up.
I guess I'm not the one who's been feeding the monster house.
I was about to say the monster house is kind of the big red button of this campaign. I wish we gotten to see more of Monster House. I had machinations, but I suppose that was wait for the next season.
You guys see what you're doing? You're giving it machinations.
Maze can have some
But-
machinations as a treat.
Mazes
As
have-
No.
a treat.
I
you know,
feel
there
like I'm
should
going
be
insane.
more. There should be more. Yes, more. Hey, you could do this, but there might be big consequences. I'll have to keep an eye on
no.
that. Perhaps because it's lower level, I've been thinking lower stakes. Finding bad guys has certainly been a huge pain in the ass. It used to be that I could just pull up stat blocks, and if it was weak, I would go, well, I'll put 2 of them. And if it was strong, I would go, that's fine. If it was too strong, I'd go, all the better. But now all the low level guys are just goblins. That's
Yeah.
all the
Just
stat
individual
blocks at
guys.
low levels. And I'm like,
No
holy
way!
shit,
The
I really
murderer
can't-
was 5 goblins in a trench coat.
I've had to build so many bad guys. It's been such a pain in the butt. So I'm excited for them to be a little higher level. This has gotten off track. We'll see if we can't get a big red button in there.
As a treat.
Oh, another one.
Just for you.
Another one from chat here from Chibi Blue Mouse. To all, you found Cyprius a favorite. Any other NPCs from previous campaigns you would want to run into? From the previous campaign, I guess.
I think it would be so funny if we're hunting a guy and halfway through the episode it turns out Cressida is also hunting that guy.
Cressida showing
I
up
think
again would
that-
be great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm generally not a fan of having too much crossover in like actual plays between previous campaigns. I think the less that you can separate it out, the better. I am on record as saying the one person I did want to show up was Cyprius, so I'm pretty much resting on my laurels. on that.
That's my philosophy is the same as Sophia's, which is I was like, I gotta throw them one bone, which is this. Like this was the one
Technically-
big acquiescence, I think.
Yeah, technically one of my contacts that I have that Ingrid rolled up on the table, Ballman, is from the previous campaign as well, the street meat vendor.
Yeah.
So there's like little characters here and there that pop out. I think it'd be cool maybe run into like Nell or something, you know, someone from the Searing Tongue in that way. But that's even that is like stretching it a little bit. I think generally I'm pretty content with Cyprius's the one character who transcends the bounds of campaign rules and can show up in any rolling with difficulty campaign and setting. I just think that's great for that little
If
guy.
Cyprius had a nickel for every campaign he'd been featured in, he'd have 2 nickels.
It's weird to happen twice.
Oh god, why do I even bother when Austin's impression just
So I didn't mean
blows
to
me out
step
of the
on you
water?
there.
No, I was kind of hoping you'd pick it up. My Doofenshmirtz is very unpolished.
I think it'd be cool if we ran into the Lady of Pain again.
No. How is that
I think
cool?
that would be cool.
How is that cool? That does not end well
likely is
for
the
most
problem.
people.
Well, but we're special, remember? We're
Oh,
like
right,
main
yeah.
characters.
Uh-huh.
We're the main characters of Sigil.
Look, we're not all stuck in the Lady of Pain's torture maze, all right? The rest of us can still have a fun relationship with her.
Okay, fine, yeah.
Maybe while you're down there, you can network or something.
Sure.
Ay,
We'll
ay.
see who's wandering around in the loop.
Can't be anything good. Oh man. Well, this next question comes from chat from a fleeting downpour. To Noir, are there any small things we could know about Oobtaglor the dancer? Little fun facts about Papa Oobtaglor.
Well, really, all the fun facts that I can think of are basically just how they were also a creation bard. He was also a creation bard. And he exited the. I'm not gonna say he died this way, but he exited the one shot by intentionally. Like, I think everyone. The details are fuzzy, but I think everyone was trying to like get
We
off.
were trying to like defend a supply run train through Avernus question mark? I don't remember.
You were
No,
you
it was
were
a
playing fire.
kind of, yeah. we were
Oh
in
right.
Planet Fire.
Sorry, all I
The
remember is
fire
it was
from a
on
bunch of
fire.
moles.
Avernus, Plane of
but-
Fire, same thing.
Yeah, but at some point you were like, "I'm gonna die heroically," and we were like, "You don't have to do that." And you're like, no, I'm gonna.
No, wait. No, wait. Let me do this.
So in that one shot.
The name of the adventure is The Furious Road, so you kind of want to die historic, you know?
Exactly, and so I believe Oobtaglor, the dancer, exited the one shot by blowing himself up and saying like something along the lines of like all according to Oobtaglor's plan. And
That does sound like Oobtaglor.
exactly, so, and through his son that mindset prevails, through his child.
Well, through both of his children, since one of them apparently got spawned during that one shot and then
Yes.
became a problem.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh man. All right, another question from the chat. I scrolled away and now it's gone. Where did it go? Count Pool Noodle the third to Sophia. Did you intentionally put another contradiction into the intro for this campaign? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
a
know
bad
what
sign.
contradiction is, which means no, it is not intentional.
Is it? Wait, did I just mean that you said Law and Order again? Or
It's a Law and Order thing, but I don't know. I don't know what the contradiction is supposed to be in the intro. I don't actually know the intro for this one by heart as well as I did for the first one. So let me just see if I can.
please hold everybody. Somebody's got to decide if she did this on purpose or not.
But if anyone else has any ideas, feel free to put that in chat. In the meantime, Delta V Heavy asked for Wally, what was Evrard's last job, the one that got him killed? Could you give us any more details?
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up backstory stuff.
While I look up the trap.
We need things that require less googling.
Okay, so so Evrard was essentially hired to open a door, but in order to open the door, he had to get a key. So the whole mission was the only time he left Sigil was to go through this portal to get a key to a building in Sigil that housed a more exclusive portal. So that, unbeknownst to him, the Grigzit could have access to this portal and destroy it. And that obviously did not go well for him. That's the short of it, but yes.
Nice.
I think
Very cool.
on the job, that's where he got his rapier covered in roses, and technically that was was it? I think it was Copper who gave him that mission as well. So for the most part, it was supposed to be.
Involved.
Yeah, for the most part, it was a very
Hire you, but
simple.
not really involved.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a very simple job. He was just supposed to open the door. He just didn't realize who he was opening the door for.
Yeah, he opened the door and then I believe he was in it when it got destroyed, and that
Yep.
Ooh,
obliterated
that's
him
not
and killed
good.
him.
That's
Yeah,
spicy.
that's why there's
Oh,
no
damn.
body of his like floating around.
So the Grixit didn't just like send you on a bad job.
No.
She actually literally murdered you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
she didn't super intend to murder him, but also she wasn't super concerned if someone got murdered in the process, you know?
I'd say that's still probably as bad.
It wasn't malicious, but it was, neutral, which is pretty heinous still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did look up a transcription of the intro, and I don't know what the contradiction is. So if anyone in chat wants to tell me what it is, to answer the question, no, whatever it was.
I'm surprised that no one's pointed out that open and shut is both a play on like the mystery of and like an open and shut case, and also a play on the city of doors.
The City of Doors.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
We
Oh
were
my
so
god, we
proud
talked
of
about that a
ourselves when we came up
long
with that.
time before we came to that. Yeah.
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 I have a long list
we
of
had
potential.
something else. We had something else, and I think that's
I think I threw out
we're almost
Lock
there.
and
Like,
key.
Oh,
yes,
I
that was it.
I
Yeah,
think
lock
I
and
wanted
key,
lock
yeah.
and key, and then we settled on open and shut instead.
Yeah, you said lock and key, and I was like, that's 95% of the way there. After
Yeah,
we did
I had a
like,
list of a
Rat's
bunch
stuff,
of-
we
'cause
really
it-
didn't believe it. I feel like for a while.
Yeah.
Because we were brainstorming names for the detective agency, and I think I had a list of just like, well, a pair of words is usually good. So like your lock and key, your open and shut. And I think somewhere in my notes app is probably all of the potential names that I had been brainstorming, and
Oh, for
those
sure.
two are in there. But we got more questions to get to. This one comes from Witch in chat. If the crew were told that one of them was secretly the big bad, who would each of them think it is?
Okay, wait. Before we, at some point, in terms of a list of ways Evrard ends the season, was that Evrard becomes a bad guy.
No,
He
Muff,
sides with the Grigsit, and says, "You know what? You're right. Let's just break every single portal." And along the way, he serves as an antagonistic foil, very polite, gentleman kind of antagonist to the rest of the crew. It's like, hey, like I know you guys are really good at solving mysteries. Here's another one. Guess which portal I'm breaking next.
Ooh.
I don't hate that concept. That could have been fun.
No.
Yeah.
You hear that, fanfic authors? I see you on Tumblr in the tags. Get on that. So Bileyg has Zone of Truth in his spell list now, so he just want to find out that way. Sorry.
But who would you think it was, you know?
Well, that's the thing. He's a simple soul, and he doesn't tend to be suspicious of people he trusts. Well, hopefully that's not how he ended up in Sigil in the first place. That's been haunting me, but only in the part of Beleyg's mind that he keeps in the box on the shelf that he doesn't deal with on a daily basis.
Well, after episode 6, I think Oobtaglor would think that they were the big bad. Because what happened was like the oh my god, what are their names? The faction that tried to arrest Oobtaglor?
Oh yeah, those guys.
Oh, the
Sod killers?
Sod killers? I think that was the
Sod
Sod
killers.
killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the Sod killers were like, Oobtaglor, you are under arrest, and I'm like, did I do something and I just don't remember? I'm fully at game for that to have happened, and I'm so...
Oh, it's the old I'm going through airport security, but what if I somehow have a gun thing? Like,
Right, yeah,
it's very
like-
susceptible to that.
Yes, and so like one of you is the big bad. It's like, oh no, what did I do? Like, what have I done?
That doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about me to dispute it.
Is this blood on my hands, or did I spill Kool-Aid again?
I feel like Ingrid could go one of two ways, because I think generally she is pretty trusting of everyone else. I imagine she kind of vetted everyone who joined the agency at some point. Like, there is a certain amount of trusting her own gut that she's like, well, I trust these people implicitly. They've proven to be pretty loyal companions. I think there's a part of her that'd be like, well, Evrard is the storied criminal, so it's possible that maybe he went back to his life of crime. But Oobtaglor could have just kind of, in similar way to the way that Noir mentioned, maybe they did something and they don't quite realize the ramifications of it, so it's possible that they're less overtly maliciously trying to be the villain. So I feel like that's the two directions that she could go in.
I could see Oobtaglor kind of Mr. Magooing their way into like somebody
Yeah,
else's
a little
tragic
bit.
backstory.
That is very funny.
Oh, man. I'm amazed that no one said Ingrid, quite honestly, because so much of the last season was just, wow, people really think Ingrid murdered that guy.
The Discord was convinced that you killed the last guy. They were like, oh, in the final episode where we get that like letter and the proof that you have the conspiracy board, they were like, oh my gosh, Ingrid's innocent, and it's like, whoa, what? You guys
Who
were playing out a
knows?
very different, more dramatic story.
She still could have done it. We don't know for sure. But
Yeah, we could be Maltese falconing this bad boy.
But we've got another question here from the email. Who do you think would win in a fight, either to the death or until submission? level 5 of the crew of the Paraspora, or level 5 investigators of open and shut cases. So we're both
Ooh, wait, hold on.
set to level
Oh.
5. Which party is winning in a fight?
I don't think we'll stand a goddamn chance
I
against
was gonna
Danny
say,
with nothing to lose.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, Danny is going to.
That street rat's going for the
Obliterate
ankles, and there's nothing we
And-
can do about it.
And
Between
Finbar's
Kiana
a way
and-
stronger healer than anything that they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even downgraded
Yeah.
to level 5, like, I think the Paraspora crew is still out fighting us on most most levels.
For sure, actually. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
That
Between,
plucky
like-
bunch of misfits is gonna kick our asses.
I think there's just more like average high damage output across the crew of the Parasporas like builds than there are in open and shut. Because I feel like in open and shut, a lot of us are geared more towards support and investigation, and then like Bileyg can do crazy, smite damage, and like Ingrid
like,
can do sneak
twice a
attack. But those
day.
are both kind of that's the thing. Both of those are very conditional. Whereas like
Yeah.
Paraspora, like you've got the Eldritch Cannons. Finbar is a great support character, so like that's holding it down. And even if you did Voss instead of Finbar, like that's another great damage dealer to
For
add
sure.
in. There's a lot of, I think over across the board, and like Virla's got crazy wizard spells. So there's and Kiana's doing monk shit. That's so many attacks. That's so hard. to
Yeah,
counter
even
when
at
you're low
level 5, I think that's still so many attacks.
Yeah,
you can
and
still
with,
be
like,
attacking
Stunning
4
Strike
times
and-
at level 5. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
I
no!
think,
Stunning.
I think the crew of
Actually, no.
Paraspora-
Stunning strike
Oh.
alone, because we don't have crazy good constitution, so those saves are.
I don't think anyone has con saves.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think we just get stunned into oblivion, and the
Yeah,
crew of the Paraspora
just based
roll
off of
right
that.
over us.
Damn.
Bards, rogues, paladins,
Yeah.
ranger. None of them get con saves. So yeah.
No. So we do our best. We would probably get squashed like little bugs.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, that's so funny. It is funny that I went from like the fastest character I've ever played to by far the slowest character I've ever played.
That like halfling and gnome, you lose 5 feet of, and dwarf, like you lose 5 feet of movement thing really gets brutal.
It is. They've dropped it in the new game. I'm pretty sure. The new.
Oh, that's
new
nice of them.
version. It's yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
the-
you're a halfling, so you have halfling nimbleness, but you're also tiny, so you can't move. And it's like, which do you want me to do? Am I an agile little fucker, or do I have 25 feet of movement per round?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, we got another question in chat here from Hannah Karen to Red. How long has Bileyg been in Sigil?
I think on the order of 2 years at this point. I don't think we locked it in super hard, but that's about how long it's been, with like a slow adjustment period initially.
That's interesting. I thought it was more on the order of 1 year, but
1 year is also fine. Maybe it just feels like 2 years. The thing is, we can handwave anything because Bileyg still does not understand how time works in Sigil.
It's true.
Yeah. Also, I think on the levels of Mount Celestia, you don't get like sun like daily cycles the way it normally is. It's like it's always nighttime at the base level, and it's always like or something like that. I don't remember specifically. Anyway,
so, yeah.
his internal clock is fucked. So like, who even knows?
Very nice. Well, another one from chat here for Austin from Mark Gooden. You inspired me to run a Planescape game for my players. How much lore and story do you write yourself versus how much comes from previous D&D books you've read?
Oh.
That's a great question.
Austin makes it
first
all
off,
up. He actually.
I made that all up. Did you not know I wrote Planescape?
Yeah.
Ingrid invented make-em-ups, but Austin's the one who really executes the concept. You know?
Yeah.
First off, that's extremely flattering. I'm glad you like it so much to want to play in the setting. I think it's extremely cool. I've always been inspired by it. How much do I make up? I've started making up less actually. As I needed more inspiration, I started looking into the lore a lot more to find cool things. Man, I wish I could give a neat percentage breakdown. I definitely can't. So maybe I'll just have to settle on giving advice, which is that I like reading the lore for inspiration, but it should never feel like a handicap. Like if you had an idea, first off, I like to make it clear that like this is our version of a thing, right? It's our canon, and thus things can change. But and so if your players are on board with that, some players might want to play the real deal, right? But if your players are on board with that, and I've never met any players that aren't just happy to be playing. If that's the case, make it clear that it's your canon, and if you have an idea and something is hindering you, ignore it. You know, it kind of happened with the Grixit at the end there, where it's not canon. So I looked up the Grixit's stat block from second edition, and first off, second edition is hard to translate, but I was trying to get an idea, right? Like I didn't want to like run it through a translator device to turn it from second edition to fifth edition, but I wanted to get an idea of what I should be looking for. And what I discovered is that the Grixit has a bullshit stat block, and it says, like, specifically, she will avoid a fight. She has, like, the order of, like, 15 hit points and, like, an OKAC, and she really can't attack or anything. She's kind of just like a woman with a dagger. All of her danger comes from her being extremely old, clever, crafty, having resources. And I said, that's cool. That's really bad for 5e, which is kind of a heroic simulator, right?
Yeah.
So then I had to come up with all her stuff from scratch. So I ignored the canon there, and then I was like, well, what should she be able to do? Like, what is she normally, like, what is the fantasy of the Grixit? What kind of stuff should she be able to do? And that's where I hit upon her pushing people into, like, she knows the portal so well, she can kind of push people through them. And
that was your idea.
That's definitely not canon. I made that up, but I think it was cool. We can all agree.
It was you.
So that's where it is, right? That's where I draw the line. Is I love going there for inspiration, and then the second I feel like I have a great idea I love that is contradicted by the lore, I go, all right, fuck off.
Thanks for your input.
There was only room for one old lady in this campaign.
Heyo.
Ingrid's not
Alright,
old.
well,
She's not a day over 4.99.
Yeah, neither is the
Big
Grixit, of
500's
course.
always looming.
It's so funny to me how many people in the Discord took that extremely seriously. And they're like, when do you think Ingrid's birthday is? When do you think she'll turn 500? And it's like, honey, that day's never coming. She's gonna die first.
Ingrid's real age is a secret because a lady never tells, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we got another question in chat here from Hannah Karen. If a hypnagogue showed up, what does each character have a nightmare about? You may remember the hypnagogue as that monster from campaign 1 who gave us all the spooky nightmares after our first Yub-Nub.
We've been drastically lacking in Yub-Nubs this season. I really think that's what's been...
Don't jinx it.
throwing me
Every
for a
time we have a
loop.
Yub-Nub, we get our asses handed to.
What could possibly go wrong compared to this season finale?
To be fair, most of them have been, hey, Finbar saying we need to have a party. I think it's time to throw a party, and I'm not playing the character.
Finbar was the problem.
So, but in terms of nightmares, I'd say Evrard's kind of living his nightmare right now, being trapped in a maze. Part of me really wanted to have Evrard be based off of some sort of Alice in Wonderland trope, one of my favorite stories. So putting him in the loop is one step closer to moving that character towards that direction. So we'll see.
Aw. He's late for a very important date.
Yes. I think Ingrid gets trapped in like the show that will go wrong to the extreme. Just like no matter what happens, like her voice cracks, props break, lights fall, cues are missed. No one is doing anything to the standard that they should be, and it just like seems like they never hit intermission. They're constantly 10 minutes away from the beginning of from the end of the act. It's just terrible across the board. I think that's a little bit Ingrid's nightmare because there's nothing that she can really do to fix it. Like no matter what she does, it like ripple effect causes a new problem later on. So it's got a lot of direct interference.
Bileyg becomes a fallen paladin all the way down and can never redeem himself or return to his family.
Oof.
We're pretty close to his nightmare, but there's still a chance that he can clear his name of whatever the hell's going on. But the nightmare scenario would be... And it's the same structure of, like, I didn't do anything wrong, so I don't know how to fix this. And I don't know how to clear my name because nobody will tell me what's happened. And then also, in the nightmare, it turns into, BT Dubs, hey, fun new horns you got there. Guess what? It's just bad stuff. He's fine, though. It's fine. Nothing a little coffee won't fix.
I think in the days after the fight with the Grixit, Oobtaglor does have nightmares about Bileyg dying.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
stuff, team.
Yeah, way
On that
to
note-
Way to bring down the house, everyone.
Oh, great energy.
Really brought everyone down.
Uh-huh.
I know it's always fun to unpack a character's worst nightmare. I'll hold to the idea that like the what they fear most episode is always one of the most fun stock episodes you can get in any show. It's why I keep referencing Only a Dream whenever I bring up Justice League. It's such a fun just glimpse into a character's purest form in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Another question here for me, since Ingrid has the conspiracy board, do you have any theories about what happened to the original owner of the office? I have one particular theory and then a couple other sub theories based on if that one is right or not. But I don't want to say because I think it's gonna come up pretty naturally next season, and I think that there is something to the mystery of it. So, yes, I have theories. There's some
No, you can't have them.
I genuinely right now do not know any more information than what has been happening in the podcast, so all of my theories are based on the information that is in season 1. So if you want to come up with your own theories, that's the place to look because that's all I know as well. So very, very cool, but I'm excited to get to explore that a little bit more and get to actually do a little bit of long-term mystery solving, because I think the individual mysteries for episodes have been really cool, but I'm very excited to get into some of these. I think every character kind of has their big mystery to solve, right? Like I think that there is something cool in that we're gonna get to explore next season.
Egg?
That was something I hit on a couple episodes in. Actually, was it's and some people to the plate. So some of the players had already baked it in, things like that. But I was like, oh, this is the mystery campaign. Everyone should actually have a mystery going on. And so I think that's there's a. I think that they're all clear at this point. But for Evrard, it was what the hell is going on with Evrard? For Ingrid, it relates to the business itself and the previous owner, and then we've introduced for Bileyg what happened to get Bileyg here, and Oobtaglor, it's what is Oobtaglor's sibling up to,
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Very good. All right. Another question here. Oh, this is a good one. From Metabug470, for everyone throughout Rolling with Difficulty history, which was your favorite episode to record?
Ooh.
Everything we put out. Did you guys have a favorite episode to record?
Oh my goodness.
It's tough to. I'd have to look at all of them, but like off the top of my head, Beastlands and any episode in the Beastlands has been fantastic. My favorite plane of existence. Going through the maze was hilarious, leading into the fight with the Spinosaurus, Danny's badass moment, and then getting Kazoo, like fantastic 10 out of 10 episode. And then right below that is when we forced a second plane shift, easily one of my favorite episodes in season 2, I believe. Where
Rad.
a lot of synergy between the crew, leading to the impossible and having Mistress I fall onto Virla. Fantastic.
I really liked recording. Oh no, please, Noir.
Oh, I was gonna say that I liked season 4, episode 8, the really juicy, angsty one. Because like that's just like a lot of like pent up stuff that all gets like let out, and it ends like it resolves itself quite nicely with like us finally getting a captain and us finally getting like the ship and stuff like that, and this was like a season building up to it basically, and more possibly. And so just like the catharsis of having that all be let out and talking about all of our grievances and the pent up stuff out in the open. Like that was good.
I'm gonna second that one. I also wanted to say, the thing is, I can't even remember why, but I remember I had a really fun time recording episode 8 of Open and Shut. I don't remember why. I think it was just like the relief that we weren't dealing with the bugs anymore, and that like I got to like do some fun stuff with character beats. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think I also had that with episode 5. I don't know. Bileyg is kind of like a less central character than Kiana was, so it's a little bit rarer when he gets a moment to shine. And also, paladins are kind of what you see is what you get, so the possibility for rich and complex character moments tends to be a little bit limited. So whenever it happens, it sticks out to me.
I liked recording Emmy a lot. I feel like that
Oh,
episode.
I knew you were
Bones?
gonna say that, yeah.
I
Bones.
loved that episode. I feel like there was something simultaneously like that was kind of our first foray into the idea of like doing a mystery in D&D, and now that has become this entire campaign. But like that was very early on, or, relatively early on. Like our kind of first foray into, we don't know what situation we're going into for this gig. Something has clearly happened here. I personally love a locked house mystery. It's one of, so I was immediately like, not only am I 100% sure that we're getting Ex Machina right now, but I'm 100% sure that it's going to be very fun to have to slowly in character realize that. And I think that I think everyone was very on their game that episode. It was just a lot of fun to record that one. And I got to, very rarely do I get to not participate in combat, but I really got to like tap out of combat in that one in a fun way.
Very true.
So I'm gonna go with Emmy. There's a couple others. I think the Tales of the Planescape ones also stand out to me as being very fun to record.
Those were good.
That's definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see what everyone goes with as their like little standalone mini adventure, and then you get to play yours as well, which is always a great character moment. I think those are a lot of fun. And the Rat Cafe open and shut. I got.
Oh yeah, Rat Cafe was a pleasant twist to that episode.
Rat Cafe was good.
Oh my god.
About that this campaign.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the.
Never forget.
That was interesting. Yeah, you guys totally avoiding combat there. I don't know what my favorite is. I spent the whole time while you guys were talking thinking, and I think that the best answer I can give is I love whenever you guys are the most desperate.
Oh. So, okay.
So
yeah, that's
wow.
So 3 of the first campaign with the Quran trench run was definitely a highlight for me. And of course, you guys going to defuse the bomb in the Astral Sea was a great one.
Yep.
And going behind the lines in the Gith, going to take the fight to the Mind Flayers. After at the end of season 4. Castle, I always feel super excited for that kind of thing. So it's hard to choose a favorite of your children, but among those number among them, I think.
Yeah. No, that makes sense from like the DM standpoint. It's like how when you're a writer, usually the most fun part is not when the characters are having like a nice chill time.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you guys surprised me the most when the chips are down and you have to, it's make or break. You know, that's when the most interesting things happen. It's when the nat 20s matter the most.
It's very cool. We've got more questions to get to, though. This one comes from Space Panini. Is Ingrid's great Aunt Beatrice alive or even real? What's she like? She's real. She's not alive. She lived for a very long time. Very long even for an elf. And I like to imagine that she was just like a very at once kind of strict and a little bit hippie old lady. Like stayed single her whole life. Just like was an avid writer and reader. Very involved. Family, just kind of a little zany, and I think Ingrid and her were a little close, which is part of why the pearls that were stolen from her before the campaign were so important to her. But no, Aunt Beatrice will not be featuring in the campaign because she has passed away. But she lived an extraordinary and full life and died in her trance. Okay, we don't have
That's not an excuse in the D&D world. Are you kidding me?
The thing that throws me for a loop is like, when you think, this is a complete tangent, but just when you think about how long elves live compared to like everybody else, it's like if a person I talked to was reminiscing about shit that happened 600 years ago, like it's already weird when my parents talk about the 80s. How would I deal with that shit? Anyway,
she's just out here telling us like a century's worth of history when you go over her house.
Just casually.
Yeah. Well, we got more questions though. This one comes from Joseph in chat. For Austin, other than Ankegs, do you have a favorite low-level monster?
Oh,
we know he loves an
Ankegs are
Ankeg.
definitely my favorite to throw at people as a monster for them to fight. But my favorite monster is definitely hands down the owlbear. There's something very quintessentially D&D about it. I love the history to the monster. I love how unique it is in that it's like kind of stupid, but we love it anyway. And I love, getting to show people owlbear stuff, whether they're new players or I have a whole owlbear collection on my shelves. I have a whole bunch of owlbear stuff. I have multiple miniatures that I've painted. I have that other people have painted for me. Owlbear stuffed animal, multiple owlbear stuffed animals actually. A mutual friend from school that Noir, Sophia, and I went to actually got me an owlbear, like one of those metal posters. What are those called? The
displates.
Thank you. An owlbear displate, which is leaning on a shelf right now, not actually hung up yet. But yeah, so I do love the owlbear.
That is absolutely precious. I liked when the D&D movie came out and everyone was like, druids can't wild shape into owlbears, and everyone who played D&D and had fun was like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's clearly a homebrew.
Yep. Also,
Let
like
them have this.
that's quintessential D&D. Rule of cool. Let the druid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild shape
I mean,
into
there's
a
no
wild
reason.
bear.
To my mind, there's some numbers you got to abide by, but you just go, all right, take the brown bear stat block, call it owl bear. There you go.
Yeah.
Done. Easy.
Yeah.
I can absolutely just imagine Edgin's player like 5 sessions and being like, wait, I have spells? And that's just why he doesn't do a single goddamn thing in that movie except for hit people with his instrument. Anyway.
No, I love a low monster. I feel like I really love mimics a lot. Like I think that they're one
Mimics
of
are
the few
good.
monsters that really easily fits into a city setting, and so it's much like whenever we would have a train problem we had to deal with in campaign 1, where I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna rip. We're gonna do a train fight. Sophia's immediate excitement over what was happening was immediately in conflict with the actual stakes of the like. Ingrid does not like the giant mimic house, but Sophia loves the giant mimic house.
Oh,
It's
that's rough.
extremely disorienting, but I love it. But we got some more questions to get to. We got a question about Emmy. Is Emmy actually using her body, or is she happy with the Paraspora as her body now from last campaign?
I have thoughts about what Emmy is doing in regards to a bot. She is still attached to the Paraspora. She's still there. I have thoughts about what she's doing with the body, and I think that we'll probably see that the next time we see the heroes of the Paraspora.
Ooh. I'm picturing Aya from that Green Lantern animated show that I and 3 other people on the planet watched.
Yeah.
Very cool. Also from chat from MSC, what inspiration songs got stuck in your head the worst? Choo Choo Bang Bang. Choo Choo
I had
Bang
Kitty
Bang.
Kitty Bang Bang. I had Kitty Kitty Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I re-listened to the entire Death Note the musical after Noir used it as inspiration, so probably that one.
It's strong. It's strong.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Oh,
have Kitty
Dismay's
Kitty Bang
Mr.
Bangs.
Evrard. That one makes me sad.
Does Maze miss Evrard? This is a good
I
question.
mean, I don't think-
Technically, Evrard's only been gone for a day or something.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
Maze will probably miss Evrard later.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Noir, is there a chance for a Weird Little Dudes Part 2?
Maybe. Yeah, we haven't really locked in our one-shots. We don't really lock in our one-shots until, like, after the season. And we have, like, a post-season meeting. So anything's possible. It'd be nice to have Kazoo in and then play with Kazoo.
Oh my gosh,
So.
yes.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of the one-shot stuff is kind of a we'll see. There's this huge list that we could never, ever, like, realistically accomplish all of, like, these are all the cool ideas we have. Weird Little Dudes is always on there, so you never know. Just makes also, from Puck Stevens in chat, watching much of Columbo recently, are we ever going to get direct interface with a murderer covering their crimes?
Ooh.
That's a question for the DM, for sure.
Direct interface with a murderer coming from their I mean, to say so would spoil the mystery. Also, I haven't really watched Columbo, as in you talk to the murderer beforehand, and they're trying to hide.
Often,
Yeah.
They're one of the suspects. So
Usually
I thought
Columbo
about that
spends
kind of
most of the episode hanging out with the murderer under the pretense
Yes.
of he was just around.
Mm-hmm. We
Yes,
kind of got that in the murder on the construction of the
Yeah, the Modriarty
Awkward.
episode where we talked to the
Yeah.
guy who made it do the murders.
That's
Yeah.
very
just because
true.
we didn't know it was a Modron who did it. We did talk to the guy who programmed the Modron to do it.
True, yeah.
I definitely the chance for that exists, as it's been said. It's kind of already happened. But the thing is, though, you can't make the whole adventure, or in my opinion, you can't make the whole adventure just trying to suss out who was the murderer by talking to them, because that can happen in fiction where they ask the right question and the murderer gives the right detail, but this is improv. Someone could ask the wrong question, or I could just improv something that, makes them really doubt or really believe this could be the murderer, and then I might be up a creek without a paddle, right? It needs to be, the mystery needs to be attainable fairly easily so that they can get on to the hard part, which is killing monsters and, getting through traps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, this next question comes from our email, mostly for Austin, but curious about others' thoughts as well. While I am very much with Austin in the subclass definitely isn't very good, I liked the choice of Reflavor for the Undying for a pact with Kelemvor. and it made me curious about how you all interpret the difference between a warlock who has a pact with a god and a cleric. How is the relationship different? And Austin, do you see any more particulars in what social roles particular divine-based characters serve in your planescape?
What social
So-
roles particular divine-based characters serve in my planescape? That's all to process. Specifically on that, before I forget the wording of it, I mean, like all gods have followers, which is what gives them power. Powerful beings don't necessarily need to have followers; they can dispense power. We've had warlock play, but not to a huge extent. I've never run like a long thing for someone who's playing a warlock. Obviously, Voss picked up a little warlock, but that happened during the game. Sophia played a warlock in a campaign that we almost finished, in a home game that we almost finished. And I think that usually it involves acting a certain way versus doing a certain thing. That's what I view as the difference between clerics and warlocks. If you're a cleric, your mission is not super set out, other than there are principles you need to embody and bring into the world. And then if you are a warlock, there are usually concrete tasks that must be performed for you, and that could be a good source of plot hooks. It's interesting that it's such a plot hook, almost mandatory class as opposed to a lot of the other ones. It makes me feel a little strange, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think to this point I've mostly kind of let the player decide what the difference between warlock and cleric is going to be, like how they want to interact with that. But if pushed, that would be my answer.
Yeah, I think kind of in a similar vein for me, because I've played warlocks and I've played clerics in the past, and I think that they are kind of doing different things. For like a warlock could be any powerful deity, but they've just like the power comes from making a direct agreement. Like it isn't anything that your character believes necessarily. It is just like this powerful entity has made some sort of other connection. Whereas like a cleric is kind of getting power from their own personal belief, like they believe in a deity and therefore they get power from that kind of faith, as opposed to like the deity has reached their hand down and said, you are my, chosen now or whatever. Not that you can't kind of do both, but that's for me personally as a player, whenever I'm thinking of characters and character concepts, that's kind of how I approach it.
I think you could also do something about like a warlock as a direct emissary of, the will of the person who they've made the pact with. That can be useful if you have like a god that's down on their luck or something, or like a being that was once a god or is a god but has been forgotten, or like a god that's down on their luck and needs actual mortal intervention. Like there's ways you can play that if you wanted to. But if we're just doing like all other things being equal, this is a god where you could be a cleric or a warlock. It feels like the warlock is more transactional. Like a cleric is more like, I have faith and the god rewards me, and a warlock is more like, all right, I'm clocking in for my 9 to 5, give me my spell slots, which I respect. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
On the grind.
Yeah, I feel like ultimately what it comes to with the different character classes is like if you really want the mechanics of something, you can kind of flavor it in your backstory to be whatever you want, especially when you get into the magic users. Like there are a lot of ways that you can change your backstory or change your relationship to a certain character to explain why you are one class as opposed to another. And I think that ultimately whatever is the most fun way to facilitate your gameplay will work. It just kind of comes down to the player and the DM talking with each other and figuring out how they want that to mechanically and story-wise play out, because those can kind of be two things that operate separately at times.
Yeah. So there was a lot going. In terms of Evrard, knowing where I wanted to land with him around level like 5, 6. First aside, that was my doorbell. It's mail. And in terms of whether picking Warlock was eventually where I was going to land with him, I was thinking Trickery Cleric. To start, could have done a Death Cleric. Not what's the other? Not.
There's Death Domain Cleric, which in the original place that it was published was put out as like, this is an evil subclass, and now it's just sort of generally. I've played a Death Domain Cleric. It's really fun.
Landing on dying instead of the undead cleric was me saying, hey, Wally, you haven't tried a underpowered subclass and tried to make that work. And because Austin dangled that in front of me, I'm just like, you know what? Let's do it. But sorry, yes. And ultimately, the features are underwhelming to say the least. And when Evrard does come back, there will be talks about switching him over to the undead.
Yeah, 100%. That's fine with me.
So, and yes, thank you. The other one was the Grave Domain Cleric, but in terms of like making an OP multi-class, Grave Domain Cleric and a Fey Wanderer Ranger has a lot of really fun synergies, and just being able to negate crits on top of the other two people we have with Silvery Barbs might be a bit much for Austin. So,
Yeah. Hey.
ultimately, from a
Bileyg is
mechanical
still alive.
standpoint,
Yeah, wow.
going Warlock with Evrard was just more fun.
Yeah. This
Fun.
was something, because I obviously did not multi-class last campaign, and this campaign I started multi-classed, and I did think about this a lot of like, am I multi-classing for fun, or am I multi-classing like for like mechanical enjoyment, or am I multi-classing because I think it'll be a more interesting character backstory? And I think I landed more on the backstory side, but I always really respect that Wally manages to make it both like character really interesting and mechanically really interesting. It's a difficult balance, and Evrard is another lesson in Wally, a testament to Wally's skill in the multi-classing arena.
Mm-hmm.
On the topic of Evrard, we got a question in the chat. What is the particular flower he has, and is there any symbolism behind it?
So this goes back to an earlier question in terms of like motivations, like how I come up with character concepts. 9 times out of 10, I don't really start with like a pre-existing like fictional character. I actually tend to be inspired by the people that I know. For example, Finbar was originally based off of my friend Kyle. It's like if Kyle was going to be playing at the table, what kind of character would he play? And then I played that for 3.5 seasons. Then I'm just like, okay, great. Now I want to play the kind of character that I would play. And then I played Voss. So for Evrard, I'm like, okay, great. There has to be some sort of happy medium. So I wanted to play a really polite yet tricksy Fey-inspired character. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take Agden and I'll just make my own version of that. And in terms of the flower that he has, so I pulled this sort of multicultural background from him. Although his family is from the Feywild, he himself was born in Sigil, so he has this weird like 2 different cultures that he grew up a part of. And the flower specifically is the hyacinth, which is the national flower of Haiti, where I'm from.
Ooh.
So
Ooh,
that's in terms of like character motivations, I pull a lot from like real life and the people that I know around me.
extremely cool. A kind of follow-up question in chat: what would you play for each of your castmates if you were going to make a character based on any of us?
Oh no.
Okay, this is you give me okay. In terms for each of my castmates, Austin's a huge fan of monks. So some sort of mercy monk wizard multi-class. I'd have to do the math on that. Paladin.
You picked the most I need different stats class, and then you added one more class that uses the only stat monk
Yep.
you need.
Yeah. So, and I'd like to run the math and see and make that work. For Red,
Yeah.
some sort of I guess the wild magic barbarian would be really nice.
Ooh.
And go
I
go
like it.
full into charisma on that somehow. Who knows? Sophia's already played like some sort of rogue artificer multi-class just to band-aid everything together. And Noir's already played the multi-class that I wanted to play, which is the wizard cleric multi-class. That being said, Scribe's Wizard is easily my favorite wizard subclass, and then Storm Cleric is a really fun finding the flavor with how Austin reflavored sort of the storm being as like a electrical connection with the weave. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. We got another question in chat here. Does each character have a favorite coworker? I think
A little
Ingrid
rude.
like I think Ingrid doesn't like she would never tell anyone, but I think she does really appreciate the like level-headedness of Bileyg. She's like, well, there's
Aw.
the one guy who's gonna show up, he's gonna make coffee, and it's not gonna be terrible.
I was gonna say,
but I do
Bileyg,
think she
too.
also has a little, yeah. She loves Evrard too, and I think she has a big soft spot for Oobtaglor because it's just like this kid, like I've been where they are, like they're gonna get it there eventually, but they really need to get the chance to flex. Something that because last campaign I slumped into captain by default, and this campaign I started off intentionally as the owner of the agency, and something I'm very conscious of when you're playing the quote-unquote leader character is that I gotta make sure that you're facilitating everyone else actually getting to be like the center of attention as much as possible. So something I've been really trying to do, especially in this campaign, is be like, Oobtaglor can take lead on being the party face for a while, because we should really let Oobtaglor like get to have those moments and like get to play. And I think I've been narratively justifying that by being like, Ingrid's like, well, you've got to give them a chance to like learn and fail and like experience single. I've done all this, with my 499 and not a day more years here.
Of course.
Actually, you know what? This is all chat. You're 100% right. Meech is my favorite coworker. I don't know what I'm saying.
I think Bileyg really likes how genuinely very professional Ingrid is. Everyone else is very fun, but he knows that the thing is in good hands with Ingrid. Like, Bileyg is a person who takes direction well and likes it when somebody else is generally calling shots on like what you should be doing and where you should be going. So it's very fun.
Yeah, I think Oobtaglor would choose Ingrid just because like they
Aw.
appreciate the fact that Ingrid has like the managerial aspect of organizing the agency on lock, and so then that just allows Oobtaglor to just kind of like be themselves, and if they need to be steered back into the main mystery, then they'll obey and they'll abide by what Ingrid says. So.
Or hear me out, crimes. Evrard and Oobtaglor, that's the crimes.
I think Oobtaglor's greatest regret is that they and Evrard didn't do more crimes. Evrard was still around.
Aw.
We gotta get it right back so Oobtaglor can do more crimes.
Yeah. No. I think what we've learned is that like Ingrid and Bileyg are good to hang out because they're the two that don't feed the monster house, and Oobtaglor and Evrard are good to hang out because they are the two who will feed the monster house.
Great, it all works out. We've all got plans.
No. It's been nice to we all like, not that the crew of the Peresper didn't like each other, but I feel like their relationships got a little rocky at points, and I feel like with the open and shut, we're all pretty much like, no, we're very like amiable coworkers actually. We all pretty much get along.
There's a certain like aged uppedness from because the Peresper crew is like a ragtag crew of mostly young folks just trying to find their way in the world, and like the team dad is like 30 and that's it, and now it's like we've all got jobs,
Yeah.
we're doing our best except for Oobtaglor, who is the baby.
They're living their life.
Yeah, exactly.
Oobtaglor really is so much younger than the rest of them. Like, I feel like we don't talk about it enough. They're like a child.
Hey, to be fair, like I don't know, Oozes grow up fast, like
And also
especially
they've got all the memories of their dad.
With the memories of
Yeah.
So they're kind of that age. Like, yeah, biologically speaking, they're new, but not psychically, in their brain.
Mentally.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
alright,
favorite guys.
Yeah. Another question from chat, though, related to that from Joseph. Are there any characters or entities from a different D&D setting you would like to see temporarily pulled into the Planescape? I know it's not technically a different setting because the material plane is in the Planescape, but I do love Waterdeep. It is one of my favorite locations, and just like anything relating to the Dragon Heist module or Mad Mage, like I love that stuff. It was so exciting for me when we went to that city, but I can never run anything there because people will do nothing but relentlessly mock me the entire time we're in the city. So that one's from
In
a Philly
Evrard,
local
there's like a
family.
mind flayer god. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Rin, I think is their name.
Mm.
I think it would be funny if Strahd got Yoda out of his castle and just had to deal with the planescape for a while. That'd be pretty funny. Like, it feels like the entire point of that module is like, nobody can escape, but like, just what
It's sort
if?
of an inverse Curse of Strahd, where Strahd walks into Open and Shut, and he's like, "You have to help me get back to my plane."
There are a bunch of adventurers trapped there that I cannot do boss fights against now.
I don't know where the door is. And so we're sort of cursing Strahd.
Ah,
Mm.
turnabout. All right, good work, team.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyone else
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
Let's have in mind.
That's not.
All right. Will open and shut cases ever have to leave Sigil during an episode? Obviously we can't say for sure, but I feel like generally we are trying to stay to being in Sigil as the show. We explored the planes, various different planes to every episode last campaign, and I think this campaign I really trying to just get to like fully explore Sigil as much as possible. So I wouldn't. I mean, Austin's the one who can really answer this one, but at least
Yeah,
from
step
what we've all been
off.
discussing. Yeah.
Oh no, Sophia's
Yeah.
right. Like I mean, never say never, right? But if it did happen, I think it'd be a big deal, and it's not super the point. We did, as Sophia said, we did that story. So now it's kind of time to explore this cosmopolitan. This I've always wanted to run a city-bound campaign. It turns out it's a shit ton of work. You would think that one location would be less work than all of existence, but actually all of existence means you can keep pointing characters to the tracks you've already laid out, and they go okay, and they get on the tracks and follow them. And in city, they go, well, I've been here before. Can't I go there? What reason could I possibly have to not go there? And you go, I guess you're right. Yeah. All right, we're going there. I didn't plan for that, but all right.
Yeah, no, it's we'll see. I think this campaign we're gonna be in Sigil, and who knows where we'll be in the next one. You know, it's we're obsessed with exploring the planescape. It's just a question of where in the planescape we're going any given day.
Oh yeah.
Hear me out. All Arcadia, and you're constantly being hounded by the
It is just
Harmonium
a full
and
season of
just-
a legal drama.
We just have to do
regular-
our
yeah,
taxes
regular
every
stuff.
session.
We just play Suits, the TV show.
I love Suits. I was such a Suits head when Suits was coming
Is that
out.
the name for it? Is that the name?
I don't know that they're. I don't know
Official
that they had a
fandom
fandom
name?
Maybe they did, and I just don't know about it. But no, that was not the official fandom name.
I'm a real
Yeah,
suit
yes.
wearer.
Yeah,
A
you wouldn't be
suitor?
like the paralegals or something, you know, some sort of like support role.
You want to be the Meghan Markle?
Yeah.
She was apparently.
Oh wow, I forgot that she was on Suits.
She was.
We
That's
can't-
where I knew her from.
I'm sorry I mentioned Suits. I can already see how this is spiraling out of control. Another question from chat. Unrelated to Suits. From Annie Timmer. Out of all the player characters and non-player characters of Rolling with Difficulty, who else would you like to try playing?
Oh, like
You could
what
be-
other characters in?
Yeah,
In
if
the
not
established
one of
setting?
your player characters, but one of the other characters we've run into, who would you like to, I guess, run as a player character?
I would love to play Emerson. Like I'd
Ooh.
want to play a talent.
Talent is it's up on the drive, man. If you want to play a talent, we'll make it happen. I mean, could kill Oobtaglor off, but
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
All right, yeah, we'll
we
talk.
Could totally have a
Talent.
talent. We could totally have a talent in the future.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've made noises about claiming Cressida as my background character, like my backup character. Like that's mostly a joke because I actually think she's a little edgy for my tastes, but I think it would be very funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone on record. Mandy last campaign was my backup character for Danny. Should anything happen, but I think that there are other characters I would like to try playing as well. The Kenku chef from the Cooking
la
Competition
carte.
last
A la carte!
campaign, a la carte.
Yes.
I love playing Kenku. Similarly, what's the Kenku, the glossary, right?
Glossary is
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of them would be awesome. I love playing Kenku.
I really backed myself into a corner there because I was like, shit. I find it hard to do the like. Oh, I just assume that Kenku can speak and they have to borrow other people's voices.
Yeah.
And then they can directly quote people, but not that they can not only speak what someone else has said, because that makes for a huge headache when role playing. Really, gotta stop introducing them.
That's one of the things that's like a cute concept and a fun way for like somebody with like 30 years of voice acting experience like Matt Mercer to show off is funny, but like in a normal game, that's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a good way to introduce an incongruous voice to the world. Like if you can say like my Kenku learned how to speak around like a person who's not from around here, and so now I'm doing a cowboy accent.
Yeah,
yeehaw
now
the
I
whole
have
time.
now I sound like the little guy from Night at the Museum and you all have to deal with it.
Yeah, like there's a lot of I think there's a lot of fun potential with it, but it is difficult to run it straight as like lore intended of like you can only say things you've heard, because then you have to keep track of everything you hear and how it was said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play as Davian because I've already played a rogue, chat. I'm doing it
Oh,
right
I'd play
now.
as Davian. That sounds like fun. I'll take him.
Davian's great.
Oh man. Wally, what about you?
I have enough NPCs that I have yet to play. I'm perfectly fine with the ones that I've played so far. I don't really want to jump onto any pre-existing ones when I could just play new ones.
Wally loves making his new character. But Austin, do you have any characters that you would want to run a PC?
Well, I suppose I'd have to pick a PC since I've already played all the NPCs.
Fair enough.
I mean, Davian is if I was like, let me play a character for a campaign, I think Davian would probably be the one. I love Swashbuckler, but
Oh,
I just
actually,
love
no.
him. His swaggering, idiocy is great. But if I had to pick a PC, I like Finbar a lot. It tends to be where I gravitate towards. I tend to go towards the let me raise everyone else up kind of characters, and I do love druids. I do love rangers. So
Nice.
Very cool. Very
Wally,
cool.
were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, someone mentioned Nell, and actually, you know what? Yeah, it's
Hell yeah.
let's play a cute little grung. Yeah, let's do it.
No.
Although I do realize that I did specifically want to play a Gith after Wally had played a Gith in a different campaign, and then he lapped me. He beat me to it a second time. Playing boss.
You're fool.
I've played
playing
two
very
Gith.
much like a Gith now in his campaign, so
I've played
not
two
a Gith,
Gith.
Very
very
good.
close.
Both of them have been feeble-minded. Both.
Oh.
Forgot about
keep
that.
happening.
Strange
You
that
can't
it
get
happened
away with
twice.
Someone's got to do some research into the frequency of feeble minds in the Planescape. I feel like it's higher than it should be.
Yeah.
Well, we've got time, I think, for one last question here, and I've got, I think, a juicy one in the email that we can really chew on for a bit, knowing all of our particular interests. So this one,
That's good.
coming from the email, hello all. You joked in this season that a Sinister Six is being made, but what Marvel or DC character would be your character's arch enemy? So we're kind of gonna build open and shut's real Sinister Six a little bit here, if we were to use official superhero characters. So what character do you think would be each of our PC's arch enemy? And Austin, if you want to throw one that you think would be fun to throw at us in the loop as well.
I will consider. Everyone else go first.
I feel like Oobtaglor and Reed Richards would fucking hate each other.
I think so too. I was gonna offer
Yeah.
Hydro Man and just like wash Oobtaglor away. But I can definitely-
an underused character.
Let's see, I'm trying to think of a.
I think Ingrid and the Riddler would be a good pair, like a good fight situation. But I do think Ingrid and the Question could like truly drive each other to
Ooh.
insanity.
Oh,
but
yeah.
in like a good way.
Yeah, like that's arch enemies who solve mysteries together at a certain point.
I mean, that's
I
just
think-
the question.
That's
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
question.
I feel like Ingrid would be like, oh, that's that maddening individual, and Question is like, oh yeah, she's great, one of my closest friends. I
The
feel
only
like
person who
Bileyg
understands
would
me.
hate everything Amanda Waller represents on principle, and also
Ooh.
like fucking Ross and like all the like big generals who are like the epitome of lawful neutral to trend lawful evil, like the stock archetype that shows up in every one of those stories. Just because a perversion of the concept of law and order very much offends him, and it also pisses me off how many times those characters get way too much power for no goddamn reason because nobody else in the government uses their brain in comics. Where it's like, yeah, Amanda Waller can just declare martial law over the entirety of the U.S. because she is extremely alien racist against one guy who's not even on the planet anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I recently watched the Michael Keaton Batman, but I do think like Ingrid's true arch nemesis would be specifically that version of the Joker. Just because like an artist who is getting pissy because their art is not being received the way they want to is the most infuriating thing in the world. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, that is the consequence of putting your art into the world, is that people are going to react to it. I'm sorry, you don't get to have a little Joker moment about it.
I've been getting non-stop trailers for Joker 2 on YouTube, and it's been driving me up the damn wall.
I can't wait to ignore that and then watch it illegally.
I can't wait to ignore it and not watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But needless to say, Austin, do you have any DC or Marvel characters to throw at the Open and Shut crew?
Well, on the Allies, someone just said Green Arrow. Green Arrow is definitely one of my favorites. He's definitely in my top 10 characters, and I love him as a low-level, social crusading character. He's got so many facets, and I love all of them. Like I really appreciate when someone's able to bring out. We can't talk about why I love Green Arrow, but Green Arrow would be cool. He's got a lot of layers to him as a character, and I appreciate when someone can well balance all of them. But to have them face someone, I was going to say Ultron, which is true because I've had them face Ricciardi, which is sort of an Ultron, right? Like, is given a command and has like spun that off into like, well, here's how it must be interpreted, and has become a threat to. It's slowly becoming a threat to all life as they have to escalate their understanding of their assigned mission. But I think that, and maybe this is something that we're missing, is we're missing the rogue. Like we say, we have our rogues gallery. Well, we need the rogues. Flash is my number one superhero, and his bad guys are some of the best. If you haven't, I think it's Rogues Rebellion is a you can get as a volume as a graphic novel that was during the I forget the New 52. All the bad guys take over, and they refuse. Like, all the bad guys are like, yeah, we're gonna murder and destroy the world, and they're like, ooh, we really are kind of just in it for the money. Like, we try not to hurt anyone. We have a rule about even hurting cops. Like, they're just trying to stop us because that's their job, and we've got our job, So they go on the run, and they have to run from like all of the most powerful bad guys that exist. It's a great comic, but I think that maybe Open and Shut meeting them would be cool, because it's like they're honestly genuinely pretty well-meaning. It's just that they're really only well-meaning for themselves. They have enlightened self-interest, but they're also not concerned. They're not interested in hurting anyone. So I think that perhaps that, and they're very brilliant, right? They have to face the Flash, who is way overpowered.
Ass cat.
So
Sorry,
I know, right? So I would love to see some version of the Flash Rogues Gallery show up, and maybe they will. I've got my notebook right here. Actually, I'm gonna write down Flash Rogue Gallery.
It is funny how chill they are compared to a lot of other rogues galleries.
Well, that's the thing. They have such an unstoppable hero that they face that it really can only go one of the only reason they can exist is because they are chill, right?
They can't possibly be an actual threat.
Yeah, exactly. Now, all of Superman's guys are so powerful that even Superman can't get rid of the Mongol and Darkseid stuff. But then the other side is Flash's, where it's like, he's a good guy. They're good people who have been given some bad choices and given a bad hand, and so neither of them are really out to destroy each other.
Yeah. But sounds like we got a pretty good rogues gallery. We're all pretty big nerds, so I feel like we could do this ad infinitum. But
oh, for sure.
That's pretty much gonna bring us into the Q&A. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. It's been so much fun doing this new campaign, this new season. We will be back with the second season of this campaign in the winter, so stay tuned for that. We've got a couple one-shots that we're working on, hopefully a couple cool guests as well. So we're really excited for what we've got coming. So be sure to follow us on socials. Check out the Discord. Stay tuned if you want to hear more. But we're so excited for what's to come and the mysteries to unravel. And thank you guys so much for listening along on the adventures. And if you have any other questions you'd like answered, feel free to email them to us at rollwithdifficulty@gmail.com. We'll do our best to get to them. But in the meantime,
come join our Discord too.
Come join a Discord. Sometimes folks
We're
stay
hanging out in there
chatting.
all the time.
Yep.
I almost forgot. This is the thing I specifically asked Crowdmate about, but the plug pins have shipped, so you should keep an eye out on your mail if you ordered a plug pin, because you very well may be getting it soon. I cannot wait to get my little guy.
Woo!
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And we'll catch you guys in the next season, in the next one shot. It's so exciting.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Go ahead and take us out, Wally.
Oh, okay.
All right.